Karen, undeterred by her previous failures, escalated her audacity once again. This time, she attempted to break into my cabin, believing that her authority as HOA enforcer would allow her to impose control without consequence. She clearly underestimated one critical factor: my dogs, trained for protection and defense, who were ever alert and ready for intruders. It was late evening, the sun having just dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the property. The cabin, nestled in a small clearing with trees lining the perimeter, had been reinforced not just physically but strategically. Cameras, motion sensors, and strategically placed alarms provided layers of detection that made stealth nearly impossible. Karen, confident as ever, ignored these precautions, assuming that the element of surprise would grant her the upper hand. The moment she approached the cabin, my dogs, Titan, a massive Rottweiler, and his two companions, detected her presence. Their growls, low and resonant, echoed through the trees, a warning that was unmistakable. Karen paused, sensing the tension, but arrogantly pressed forward, attempting to force the door. Inside, I monitored the situation through the security feed, noting her position, her movements, and the likely path she intended to take. I had trained for scenarios like this: aggressive intruders, armed or unarmed, attempting to assert dominance through fear and surprise. Preparation, visibility, and controlled response were key. As Karen rattled the door, Titan emerged first, his massive frame filling the doorway. His eyes locked on her, growling deep in his chest, a sound that vibrated through the floorboards and into the night air. The other two dogs flanked him, their posture disciplined, alert, and ready. Karen froze for a split second, the confident smirk fading as the reality of her situation set in. She attempted to assert her authority verbally, shouting about HOA rules, community enforcement, and her right to access private property. But the dog's presence, disciplined and formidable, spoke louder than words. Their growls escalated, a precise mixture of warning and readiness, indicating that any further approach would be met with immediate physical response. I stepped outside, calm but authoritative, making sure she understood the seriousness of her intrusion. "This is private property," I said. "You have no authority here. Leave immediately, or the consequences are on you." My voice carried clearly through the clearing, controlled and unwavering. Karen, for the first time, hesitated not because of physical threat alone, but because she now faced a combination of controlled power, preparation, and overwhelming deterrence. She tried to negotiate, muttering about permits and bylaws, but each argument was met with precise counterpoints. I reminded her that HOA rules do not grant the right to trespass, to intimidate, or to endanger property or residents. Her authority, rooted in intimidation and entitlement, held no weight here. The dogs advanced slightly, their movement disciplined and deliberate, signaling clear readiness without provoking escalation. Karen's confidence wavered further, realizing that any misstep could lead to serious consequences. Her attempts to push forward became hesitant and disorganized. She was, in that moment, fully aware that she had underestimated the preparedness of the property's defenders. After a tense standoff, Karen retreated, muttering threats and complaints. Her attempt to assert control had failed completely. The security footage recorded every movement, growl, and retreat, ensuring irrefutable evidence of her trespass and intimidation attempts. This documentation would later serve as an essential record in any legal or administrative proceedings. By nightfall, the cabin was secure. I reviewed all footage, reinforced entry points, and ensured all sensors were operational. The incident had demonstrated not just the effectiveness of the dogs as protectors, but the importance of preparation, visibility, and strategic deterrence. Karen's aggressive tactics were nullified without physical confrontation, a perfect example of controlled authority neutralizing reckless audacity. Neighbors, who had glimpsed the lights and activity from a distance, began to whisper about Karen's repeated failures. Her aura of invincibility continued to erode. Each failed intrusion, each public defeat, served as a lesson. Aggressive authority without preparation and respect for boundaries could be decisively neutralized. That night, As the dogs settled back into their positions and the cabin returned to silence, I reflected on the lesson reinforced once more. Preparation, discipline, and strategic response turned potential threats into demonstrations of control. Karen had tried to force her will through intimidation and audacity, only to discover that careful preparation, combined with loyal and trained protectors, could dismantle even the boldest attempts to dominate. Cedar Pines, slowly but surely, was learning that entitlement and aggression were powerless against readiness, strategy, and resolve.